you have this reputation that is so high.
When it comes to finance, it could be the sky's the limit.
Ooh, it's greed now. It's so easy to get this loan. I just want more of it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Headlines, the go-to space for the top stories that made the headlines and more. My name is Amalina Kamal.
And I'm Azmi Hassan. Now, today we're diving into a topic that has had Malaysians talking: celebrity influence, ethics, and how some artists might be putting their credibility on the line for a quick payday.
Right, and this is not just about social media endorsements or paid partnerships. Now, we're talking about big names getting roped into financial scams, whether they knew it or not. Case in point, the recent OpSky investigation. Now, if you missed it, OpSky is this massive financial fraud operation that used celebrities to make their scheme look legit.
Right, Amalina, and they promised easy loans to borrowers with no hassle. And guess what? Turns out it was all a scam, leaving people deep in debt while the masterminds cashed out. And some of our favorite celebrities, household names in fact, people like Datuk Jalaluddin Hassan, Dr. Sheikh Muzaffar Shukr, and even Zena Zain have now unfortunately found themselves entangled, being the faces for the financial consultancy firm involved in all of this.
Right. Now, to be clear, these celebrities are not actually scammers themselves, but their endorsements gave the syndicate the needed credibility, and that's where the problem lies. So, are Malaysian celebrities too quick to lend their names to endorse brands without proper vetting? And is integrity taking a back seat when it comes to making a quick buck?
Yes, so that's what we're here to unpack today, and we've got just the perfect guest for it. Persatuan Karyawan Malaysia President, Datuk Freddie Fernandez. Datuk, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you for being here.
Right. That's all, right off the bat. Well, for some, they've already know the, details or background of OpSky. But the question here still lies, as what we've already established during our preamble there. Celebrities have, more sort of like appeal when it comes to being, when it comes to influencing the major public. Now, can you tell us what does it take for a celebrity to ensure that, whatever they sell or whatever they're trying to push for does not become dangerous?
Yeah, I think celebrities have always been used to promote products, promote services, and it's been generally, peaceful and, above board, and everything has gone sort of well in the past. I've managed a few artists in my career, and all the deals that we made have gone well. Clients are happy, and, celebrities are happy. They get a nice paycheck. But we've come to a point now where suddenly it's going wrong and things are not exactly what they seem. So I think the difference here is that this is an unknown or unheard of operation. Before this thing broke, I'd never heard of OpSky. It's something really new. And if the celebrity was asked to endorse a car or a multinational product or a beverage or something, that's a given. You don't even have to do anything, just sign on the dotted line, pick up your check, and attend all the events and commercials and all that, and do the necessary to fulfill your part of the bargain in promoting the product, so that the public will pay attention when the product is advertised.
Yeah, right.
So here we have a completely unknown or an unheard of product, which is using celebrities to sort of gain the confidence of the public. And I think that's something that should get the celebrities' attention, because what are you guys doing? This is all about loans and finance, and so anything that involves something besides a tangible product or a well-known product should be looked at with a few red flags. I mean, you've got to
Right.
pay attention.
Right.
Yeah.
In terms of the products, or at least the services.
Exactly.
You're
You find
pushing
out a
for.
bit more.
Yeah.
Get your lawyers to look into it.
Mm.
Do a due
Yeah.
do a
Right.
company search. Find out who are the people behind it. Go and talk to the people behind it.
Mm.
Find out exactly what they're doing before you actually
Right.
sign up for these kind of endorsements.
Now, because I just would like to bring the attention to our audience, because the Bukit Aman Commercial Crime Investigation Department Director Datuk Sri Muhammad Yusof actually said that celebrities do have to be more careful in terms of what they promote, because they can be held they can be held accountable for the liabilities that they push for, right? For instance, they can be found complicit for the activities. This is fraud we're talking about. Is it high time for celebrities to ensure that they have better managers, or they go through proper channels? For instance, they
Yeah.
consult the Persatuan. for
Yeah,
this.
exactly. We've been trying to get people to come to us for legal advice. We have even a law firm that's offering free services for artists who need advice. But so far, no takers. Everybody is on their own, and as far as we're concerned, we think that maybe they have their own legal counsel and they can afford to pay for it. Because some of these are big names. But we've been offering these services for a long time, and just nobody really took it up, and to the disappointment of our legal firm that wanted to assist. So we've been offering these services, and I think it's high time that all these celebrities who are involved in these endorsements, especially with new and unrecognized or unconfirmed legitimate companies, there should be some kind of duty, and they can always come to us as the association that is supposed to be looking after them. We're trying to, but many of them just think that maybe it's not necessary.
Right.
But suddenly they're finding out the hard way. It might have been a good idea.
Right.
I think first off, if you were to, if I were one of the celebrities, now of course I'm not casting any judgment here, but something like this that sounds just a little too good to be true. Where you're promised all these, big loans.
Yeah.
You'd have to think that this, something screams some
I
red
mean,
flag here.
This is not the first time we're hearing about things that are too good to be true. That's a good barometer for anything that's offered. Suddenly somebody offers you 40% per annum on your investment,
Right.
and you put in a couple of thousand, and suddenly you get a big return, and that's always a red flag, because that's the MO. They give you a few paybacks that are very lucrative, and then you end up, instead of putting 4,000, you put 40,000. And then when you get back another big payout, you put 400,000. So that's how it works, and that's how this. And most of them say they're investing the money and getting returns from doing international forex exchange and all that.
So
I've heard of so many of
sounds
these.
really like too
Yeah,
good.
like
and
legit.
yeah.
They're taking the money
they're-
and putting it here. And overnight, they're making
They're proper firms.
500,000
Yeah.
on the share market. And, then they're taking another 2 billion from another 500,000 subscribers and putting it elsewhere and making another 50 billion.
So
and this is your share.
In a
Here's
way,
your payout. Yeah.
in a way, you have encountered such, I suppose, offerings. And how do you raise that sort of awareness in terms of not buying into it? Because we want to extend this sort of advice to celebrities out there as well.
Yeah, I think too good to be true. Yeah, whenever something is too good to be true and it gives you more than 5% per annum on your money, please look at it carefully. That's I think a good way of
Is it because
being cautious about it? Yeah.
Is it because you think they're paid to promote and endorse the product, and it goes it's somewhat, I think it goes over the heads, thinking, okay, what would be the consequences for the people I'm endorsing this product
I don't
for?
think it even enters their mind, because as far as they're concerned, that's a nice fat paycheck.
So do you think there's a
And
disconnect?
all I have to do is
Right.
endorse this company.
Do you
And
think
what
there's-
could go wrong? I mean, they're helping people to resolve their financial problems.
You think that's
so that's
what-
how it's been pitched.
Do you
So-
think that's generally what they think, that they think
Yeah, I
that they're
think
trying
they probably think it's a
to
good
help?
thing, and it's it's something that people should embark on and participate in. So if that's the mindset that has been created in the artists, that they're helping people help resolve their problems, and giving them financial freedom with getting new arrangements that will enable them to recover from all their problems. Why not? I mean, you are doing everybody a favor, and why we
Right.
need you is because we want to promote these products to as many people as possible, and
Right.
because
But-
of that,
but-
you as a celebrity
Yeah.
can contribute.
But Dato, in this case, should celebrities claim ignorance? Why would they want to claim ignorance if it's in this sense whereby the scale of the losses is this large?
Well, they basically were given it's creating confidence. The short form is con, so it's a con. They con the artists into believing that they're doing something good for society. So in this sense, I think the artists are the victims as well, because they've been conned by these people, probably. I mean, I'm not preempting any legal investigation, but the probability is that they were also given the confidence that you're doing society a favor, you're going to help people become aware of this thing because of your celebrity status, and besides that, on top of all that, we're going to give you so much money to do that, So you get paid and you're doing society a service, you're helping people deal with their financial problems, you're solving them and so on. So why not? Sounds like a good deal. But when the dash hits the ceiling,
Right.
then you suddenly awake
Right.
that, oh my goodness, what have I done?
So they're just so high at looking at the amount of the paycheck that they're about to earn.
Plus the good deeds that they're doing, as
the
a
good-
result, that they believe, right? Probably believed it was a good
I
deed.
love your virtuous sort of approach, but let me just highlight again, not trying to single out certain celebrities, but from the investigation, or at least the ops, these celebrities were paid between 150,000 ringgit to 400,000
very
ringgit.
handsome amounts.
Yeah, a very
definitely.
handsome amount, right? So that's why my question: should they even claim ignorance? Should at least they say, I don't know, how should the demeanor be, especially in light of the situation, right? Because we've got certain interviews where you've got a singer saying, "I'm just a singer, I would not know this." But then for me watching, or anyone else watching, is asking that, so who's behind you? What's your team?
Yeah.
How does your team vet you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have this reputation that is so high and people idolizes you. Malaysia looks at public figures as the people they look up to, they want to mirror. So how can we push for better integrity among these celebrities?
Well, it's a learning curve for everyone, and I think especially the celebrities themselves have suddenly got this wake-up call that not everyone who comes to you with a good offer or a good paycheck is legit, and you've got to now pay a bit more attention, do some duty, and get your team, whoever it is, if you have one. And if you don't, we are available. You can always come to Karyawan. We're in the news almost every day. I mean, because of drug problems, people dying at concerts, people helping flood victims and all that. So, I mean, everybody knows that we are in the business of assisting artists in their careers, and we're looking at how to develop the industry and so on.
Right.
So we're here, and we're always available, and I think this is maybe a blessing in disguise, where I can actually tell people that we have a lot of services we can offer in helping you with your careers.
Right.
And you don't really have to be trying second guessing whether something is legit or not, or whether what you're doing is the right thing. Come and talk to us. Yeah.
Do you think? Sorry.
Sure.
Do you think that now, talking about the influence that celebrities have, this comes back to, it stems from the culture of putting them on a pedestal. So, and this is obviously not just isolated to our country. All over, we look up to the Hollywood actors, celebrities, singers, whatever they say, is, passed as right
Gospel,
and
yeah.
virtuous.
Yeah.
Why do we need to keep this culture going? And perhaps I want to get more of your perspective on this. Can we
Yeah.
stop this glorifying artists culture, putting them on such a pedestal?
The idolism behind everything, right?
Well, I don't think we want to stop it. We want to manage it, we want to improve it, and we want to make sure it's safe for people to because you can't take away the fact that people admire them and look up to them and appreciate their talents for whatever field they're in. So that's going to be something that you can't remove. Yeah? So people are going to pay attention when a celebrity says something or promotes a particular product. That's something you cannot change. And the situation now is where we have to make sure that the celebrities actually do not repeat what's happened here, and make sure that they don't get involved in schemes like these anymore, so that they can be free from whatever
Legal
bad
implications,
images,
yeah.
negative images that have
Right.
been created. And I think this is very bad for celebrities as a whole, because suddenly you have someone you thought was going to tell you what's good for you, telling you something that is good for you, which wasn't good for you.
Right.
So I think
Right.
that wake-up call has gone around every aspect of this
Right.
situation here.
Right. Because we want to dissect further this whole culture of idolism, especially when we look at celebrities and having to see them as like without any faults, right? But it's scary to also think that, Ops Sky, this whole investigation or that particular company, the syndicate, is not the only one. There may be more, right? More
Yeah.
to uncover. So with that, there seems to be this gap between how the industry can work together with authorities to curb this from the early on, meaning from tackling it from the root itself. We have actually Seniman President Z Zaidi to comment on this as well, and then later we'll get Datuk Freddie's
Sure.
reaction as well.
Sebenarnya kerjasama antara polis dan juga persatuan-persatuan seni untuk menyediakan satu garis panduan yang lebih jelas kepada artis ni adalah sangat penting. Kita nak tahu dia tu, kalau kita nak check background dia memang dah daftar dengan SSM, dia ni daripada sudut jenayah tu, mana kita tahu. Kita ni job kita sebagai seorang artis, sebagai contoh pun selebriti, memang job kita untuk mempromosi, mewawarkan, melibatkan kepada masyarakat. Tapi untuk nak menyiasat background check kepada syarikat tersebut, kita sebagai selebriti, kita boleh buat basic check je. Jadi, perkara-perkara inilah sepatutnya pihak polis bekerjasama dengan persatuan seni untuk menyediakan satu garis panduan yang lebih jelas kepada artis dan juga influencer ini, untuk mereka mana yang boleh, mana yang tak boleh, macam mana nak tahu syarikat tu dia ada kes jenayah ke atau tidak.
Right.
I don't think the police have time to advise artists on what they should be doing, what they should be signing up with, and what they shouldn't. I don't think that's the job of the police in the first place. So I would disagree with him. But I think and the police get involved when they only find out something is wrong, when there's a police report or somebody feels that they've been scammed. Yeah? So I think the bigger problem is educating artists. Artists have got to be now much more careful, much more aware, much more discreet about who they actually promote, and make sure that there is a proper business plan. And especially when it comes to financial services that are offered, that's the scariest part, because it can be the sky's the limit. If you promote a car, that's fine. How are you going to lose money, or how are you going to be held accountable for promoting a car? what can go wrong?
Mm.
Nothing, right? It's a car.
Something tangible,
It's
right,
a big
as you mentioned.
organization behind it that's offering you some money to promote the car. That's the easy part. That's the easy bit. But when it comes to finance, it could be, the sky's the limit, and you're promoting something that
You don't
could
even have
involve
expert in, yeah.
big, huge amounts of money.
Right.
Because of your 150,000 or 400,000 that you got,
Mm-hmm.
you're creating this false picture of of something that you're completely unaware of its legitimacy, of its credibility as
Yeah.
as an organization, and you're just doing it because you're getting paid. So I think that's slightly irresponsible, but in the sense, again, I would think that the con was so good, it worked. Yeah.
Worked.
Do you think to make celebrities, people who have this sort of influence, more accountable, then do you think we should put more regulations in the industry whereby you can't be endorsing a product that you do not have any credibility for, or at least any
You don't have degree
related
or a
qualifications
certification
to come
of
out
it,
and
yeah.
say, hey, this product is legit and you should try it because here I am endorsing it to you guys. You that celebrity should at least have had some sort of training to, make sure that this doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think that's very, very, very relevant, and is highly, timely that such things are introduced. Most of the celebrities don't even bother to join an association. They're not members. I think all three of those who were named,
Right.
I think Jalal, we consider him a member because we've had interactions with him.
Right.
So I think they don't see the value of being in an association. And I keep telling people, even taxi drivers have associations. So you have to
Right.
have someone representing you when you have an issue, And so far, most of the representing we've been doing is assisting in welfare, helping people
Okay.
who need money and who are sick and who have an operation. So we do fundraising and stuff like that, because we're entering a stage where the industry is more than almost 50, 60 years old now. And so all the guys who were 20 then and have now become 75 or
Right,
80,
right.
and they're going into hospitals and falling ill and so on. So that's the main priority is doing the welfare bit. But at the same time, we're also looking at educating. But I was just yesterday I was talking to the people who give out grants to people who want to do albums, concerts,
Right.
and so on. So a lot of these guys are not aware of their rights. They're not aware of what they can do, what their responsibilities are, what they should get in terms of royalties when they sign with a record company and so on. And a lot of them are not getting their fair dues. But how do we find these people? It's very hard for us. And we thought that helping people who need help will open the eyes of those
Right.
who need other kinds of help, but it doesn't seem to happen. And so I think there has to be some regulation of the industry. You're exactly right. We need regulations.
Right.
The industry needs to be regulated so that we can actually get these messages across to these people who are not really bothered with joining any persatuan, not bothered with seeking assistance, seeking advice, just going ahead and doing whatever they think
That's
is
right.
okay, and suddenly finding it all not so okay, and suddenly it's not very pleasant situation. Yeah.
Has Karyawan ever received any sort of complaints or issues raised from the artists themselves? And how do you tackle it? Like, have you personally also worked with authorities to assist in this situation? Or at least do you have your own personal experiences that you can share with our audience?
No, we haven't had any kind of report so far. And I think this is the first case of I have ever heard where a celebrity endorsement has actually gone wrong. I've heard of artists being scammed. There are many Ponzi schemes that artists invested in and lost a lot of money. I heard of that. But this is the first time I'm hearing about an endorsement deal that a celebrity had that has turned sour, and it's turned out to be very, very unpleasant for the celebrity as well as the people who bought into the celebrity's assurance that this was something good. So they're victims all around.
Right, Datuk, now we'll get back to you in a second because I have this clip of my interview with Cotton Smith Asset Management founder Datuk Shireen and Zara Muhyiddin, who I had the pleasure of speaking to just yesterday, the day before this recording. And, on OpSky, this wasn't just some random scam. It was a sophisticated operation that ran for years using celebrities to make people believe it was legit. But how was it that they were able, the scammers, that is, how they were able to pull it off for so long? So let's hear from Datuk Shireen, her thoughts on this.
Well, I don't think people distrust the FIs. I don't think that's the issue. The issue is whether this specific situation was actually done by a licensed FI. So I think that from what I've read, it's not. As far as the FIs are concerned in this country, they are very well regulated. Yes, the authorities will continue to decipher what kind of situation has happened, who has extended in terms of the debt that they've taken on, how they're going to solve this going forward so that there isn't further implications for the markets. But if the size is really what has been stated in the press, it's quite manageable. Maybe not from the individual's perspective, but certainly from an industry perspective and a market perspective.
So what do you make of that? I mean, essentially, Datuk Shireen is saying that on the scale that this has happened, industry wise, it's still manageable. Of course, the victims are suffering a lot and now find themselves in a deep debt, but it's still manageable, and that on average, basically in general, the industry is well regulated. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I think the financial institutions of the country are really well run, mostly. But I think that in this case, there must have been some kind of collusion between the company in question, who was the perpetrator, as well as people working within the financial institutions to get
that
these
was
things.
Reported, yes.
Yeah, so I think in that sense, there could be some questions and red flags raised about financial institutions. This is not the first time we've heard of loans being approved on a very short quick basis, quick approvals. I mean, it's not the norm. Loans sometimes take a while to get approved, and they have to go through the whole duty of SICRIS and CITOS and all that. So I think a lot of key steps were bypassed just because of the need, to get these things quickly done, and to give the victims also, if you may call them that, the impression that they were very efficient and they had very good relations with the bank, and so it's all part of the con, isn't it? Yeah. So when you're seen to be efficient, getting money out quickly, getting payments done, you deserve what I'm giving you. I mean, whatever percentage you're taking, because you've done such a good job. I've removed all my old loans that I couldn't pay. They're no longer hounding me. I've got a new set of loans that I will have time to pay back and get start. And maybe there's some extra cash as well for me. So why not? I mean, it sounds like a good deal.
Right. Yeah, so exactly on that, in terms of the deal being too good to resist, Datuk Shireen also had something to share on that, and then we'll get to you back, Datuk
Okay,
Freddie.
sure.
Well, I think this, this is what needs to happen. I think that it gives confidence to the market because they are being fast. And one of the things that the markets don't like is when there are delays or gaps in notifying consumers. So I think what they're doing is right. You have to take an approach that this is very much like buy now, pay later. So people who aren't able to borrow certain sums of money have suddenly been able to. And I think that given the strain that some people are facing, this was a case of having this opportunity that seemed to have all safeguards in it.
As you mentioned as well, I mean, the investigation or at least the crackdown of this level is the first time, at least, that has actually,
shaken up the industry.
The industry in that sense.
And also the entertainment industry.
Right.
Suddenly find that we have to watch and be on guard before
Right.
we actually get into anything,
Right.
So I think that's a key takeout from this as well.
But the concept of the buy now, pay later, that's like embedded in us all, right? Do you think the
Yeah.
role of social media actually pushes for that as well?
Yeah, you can buy stuff online now, and there's this installment plan.
Yeah. So the concept of having to
So,
solve your issues first and get yourself in debt,
yeah.
that's like a bigger situation, right? But also, what does that tell you when it comes to the borrowers themselves and the mentality of the celebrities of what they are pushing for?
Yeah, well, the borrowers basically, have to do what they have to do. They need the money, Sometimes income's not enough, and prices are going up. So they will do whatever's necessary to delay the payback.
Right.
So the celebrities are telling them that's fine. You could do this. It's good.
It's like a formula that these syndicates have actually, perfected. But, unfortunately today, for them, it's out in the open. It's exposed.
Yeah, that's true. So
Datuk Shireen actually also has, some steps in terms of detecting the red flags.
I think that any time any investor gets a very large return, more than normal, is normally a red flag. So if somebody is suddenly getting a lot of return when markets are so tough, that's normally where some people will be a bit, might question and think, oh, is this, some form of a Ponzi scheme? So it really depends on what they were promised or what was being indicated to the market. I think that would have been something that some of the borrowers may have thought about. Excessive returns. Some people might have good returns in certain sectors. So for example, if it's a thematic type investment, that theme may be doing very well. So you can expect high returns, but there is a cycle. But if it's a bit like Madoff was also consistently providing returns. But what Madoff did is he then looked, you had to look at what he did with the back office. And in the US, it was very fast, which is what I'm commending what is going on right now. It's fast. And giving clarity and updates is very important to the market.
So the role and responsibility first is basically on the borrower themselves. Like, to what extent are you putting your foot in, right, in the situation? Because now, of course, we do not want to blame the victims, but for future sort of like references for all of these not to happen, we can't just look at the celebrities alone. We can't just look at the borrowers alone. We can't look at the authorities alone for not taking immediate action. So the whole picture has to come together. Based on your thoughts and what Datuk Shireen had to say, how can we ensure that Malaysians make, better decisions?
Well, I think when a person needs money, it's whatever solution is offered is always attractive, because there doesn't seem to be any other solution in sight. So suddenly here someone's offering you that. Yeah, they might not have even needed the celebrities in the first place to even endorse their services, because for the victims or the borrower, in the sense, he's having someone solve his problem of giving him time to look for money to pay back a loan, and getting maybe some extra cash to spend in the meantime while he finds ways of paying them back
Right.
eventually, you know. So from that perspective, it's something that it's human nature. I mean, you have an outstanding loan, you're almost going to get taken to court and declared a bankrupt, and then suddenly here you are, this white knight comes along and offers you a grand solution.
Right.
And of course, the celebrities telling me it's good as well helps to, reinforce the belief that it's good. So in all, it's it's generally a well put together plan to reap whatever benefits and profits from this whole arrangement. But I don't know how they would have dreamt of it going on for very long, because
Right.
eventually
They would,
something
yeah.
is going to happen.
Exactly.
You're going to hit that wall, and the guy who took the loan will suddenly find that even though he spent the extra cash he had, and now he's got a much bigger loan to pay back, and he can't because he doesn't have the means, and so that loan becomes a problem again. So it's just recycling the whole issue over and over again. And eventually it's going to come out that there was something fishy about this whole thing. And
Right.
so it
Right.
has, yeah.
And Datuk, do you think that the way you explained it, how I can paint a picture for it, is that what was born out of a situation that, out of desperation
Yes.
for the borrowers,
Yeah.
the scammers, took advantage of this.
Yes.
But then somehow, because they kept reaping the benefits without really thinking about the consequences, or like you
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
where did this extra loan come from? But
Yeah.
I'll just spend it anyways. Is that now, from this desperation, it's turned into it's greed now, and that the situation is no longer you're a desperate borrower who's deep in debt, but now you're seeing this. It's so easy to get this loan,
Yeah.
and I just want more of it. That's greed, isn't it?
Well, it's I would rather not use such a harsh term
Okay.
as
Okay.
greed.
Fair enough.
But I would think that as human beings, everybody's got needs, and when there's a means to fulfill
Right.
some of those needs by injections of monetary benefit, why not?
Well,
I personally think, I know this might be a generalization, but it's sort of a financial flexibility or sort of liberation that probably some of these borrowers were desperate for, right? And this is probably what the loans were. But to some extent, the bigger part of them getting into it is, again, going back to who pushed for the endorsements, right? So I maybe to some extent, I'm not sure, maybe not all victims were bought into the celebrity endorsements, but some percentage of them were.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. Yeah.
So it's like, again, to the question of like, how can we ensure the whole entirety of this cycle, like everyone involved here, I suppose, from the borrowers to those endorsing the, I suppose, products or services, and the authorities can work together in ensuring that we are all financially literate, or at least address the underlying issue here, that we are in debt, that the nation is probably in debt. I'm not too sure. Like, one aspect, you've got people who are trying to ease their loans, debt. On the other aspect, it's like people who want to profit, and one is like trying to make a quick buck. It's like a dog-eat-dog sort of like setting there, right?
I think the one who's trying to profit is the one that's most at fault here, and should be, in necessary action should be taken. But again, it's not, the borrower themselves also should have some kind of responsibility for what they did, and because they obviously went into this maybe unknowingly, but still that's not something you do. You don't get into financial commitments and debt by just not doing anything. You have to be able to be accountable for it, yeah, when you get into a debt, because they don't realize that this guy is giving you money, but you're going to have to pay it back sometime, someday, you know. So that thought of being having to pay it back should be at the back of their minds at all times, and not just think, oh, I've got a lot of cash now, you know, I can go and spend it, you know. So I think that responsibility has got to be something we teach people about, and to be prudent about how much debt you incur as an individual, and live within your means. And you know, if you need more money, take a second job, take a third job.
Right.
You know, work
Do
hard. You know, it's not
ways
going to
of
come
finding quick
easy.
solutions.
So that's something that, you know, people have got to be aware of, and should wake up to the fact. And the celebrities themselves, I think they are, you know, they definitely need to relook at what they're doing. And there's many endorsements going on. I don't know how many of them are legit, and you know, they are the legit ones you can see immediately, but there may be a lot of others which we don't hear about. But I think this is now an eye opener for everyone,
Right.
to be a bit more cautious, take a little bit of time, seek help, talk to a lawyer. If you don't have a lawyer, call us. We will help you with a lawyer and with whatever legal advice you need. And yeah, I mean, we could get it wrong too. I could, you know, our lawyer could tell them that it's okay, looks all right. You know, we did a due deal. You know, there's no.
But at least
assurance.
consultation was there.
Yeah, but at least there is. Yeah, there is
Right.
some kind of check and balance that is
took
in
place.
Yeah,
So in
that
situations like this, you're able to kind of answer.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
we-
sorry.
Okay.
I speak of myself, by the way. I think, you know, when you have this idea, like, you can have endless access to money,
Wealth.
money that's borrowed, it's almost as gullible as thinking that there's, you know, there are money trees. And I think
Exactly.
that should
Money
be
is
the
growing on
takeaway.
trees.
That should be the takeaway from this
yeah,
whole.
money doesn't grow on trees.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So I
there's
think
no easy
people have to
money,
stop being so gullible
and
that
stop
way. Yeah.
believing something that's too good to be true.
Exactly.
It's true.
That's the bottom line here.
Right.
Everyone should know that, including the celebrities. And at the end of the day, it's the guys with the bad intentions who did the
That's right. Yeah.
wrong, you know, deals, and the wrong arrangements with the bank officers, got
Right.
them into trouble as
Yeah.
well. I mean, it all may seem like a very convenient thing to do. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get this amount of money back from the borrower, and I'll give you a percentage of it, but you make sure the loans go through quickly, you know,
Yeah.
and make sure your branch manager or whoever is the approving guy also is in the deal, and you know, so all those arrangements are, you know, not easy to be made, and you know, and now we found out that they're also culpable, and you know, and liable for what they did, and they might go to jail for it. I mean, it's very sad,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
that
it is.
they thought that, you know, it's quite a cut and dry thing, just approve the loans, and you know,
That's it.
Oh,
and
boy.
at the end of the
Yeah.
day, the
No
bank
idea
will
what they
take
got
care of
themselves
collecting it.
into.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
their job. My job is to approve it and make sure it gets paid out to the
Yeah.
client. That's all.
Yeah.
Collection is their problem. There's another collection department in the bank that has to take them to court and all
Yeah.
that, you know.
Yeah, so you should see the bigger picture of how, to what extent it will impact not just yourself, but you know, the people that you probably will hurt.
Yes.
We do have a takeaway from ZID as well in terms of this whole situation. So we're going to cue to that and then come back to the set.
Sure.
Benda-benda trap macam ni lah. Zaman sekarang ni lebih berdosa, lebih teruk berbanding dulu kerana media sosial ni. Kalau kita tak kawan, benda-benda ni akan berlaku. Kan? Zaman digitalisasi ini. Kan? Ini cabaran kita zaman sekarang ni. Zaman sekarang ni scam, tipu, jenayah, kola putih, komersial sangat lebih serius berbanding dulu. Jadi kita, macam seniman, kita sarankan kepada artis, influencer, satu berdaftar dengan kita as a seniman untuk kita boleh bantu menjadi orang tengah dan memainkan peranan untuk membantu mereka bila mereka memerlukan kita untuk nak menyelesaikan masalah, terutama sekali isu ni dan juga isu-isu yang lain. Dan kedua, kita kena berhati-hati dengan diri kita bila nak ambil satu job. Bukan kita gelap mata dengan duit. Kena check. Kalau you tak check, last kali orang cakap you scammer. Padahal diorang create tu jadi orang tengah ataupun jadi orang yang frontliner punya depan, tapi sebenarnya digunakan you kerana duit and mengamburi you kerana duit.
Datuk, one main question here, because it seems to be echoing the same call that you just mentioned, like Seniman is possibly there to help ease when it comes to the rainy days or something like that. And Karyawan says that, yeah, you can come to us and at least there's sort of check and balance happening. Do you think in the future, Karyawan and Seniman can come together in bending something like a guideline for celebrities to follow for them to not, fall into this situation?
Well, we can have all the guidelines in the world. If they don't follow it, there's nothing much we can do. So, like I said, it has to be regulated, and we have to have some kind of government intervention, yes, to make sure that these things are avoided.
Right.
Because the last thing you want to do is have a celebrity prosecuted for promoting something that's illegal. Yeah. So, and it can happen, and it's very serious, and it's very sad for the celebrity because they didn't do something that they were supposed to do, which is do a quick check and and background check on the people that were offering the deal. So I think we would see it as guidelines can only be useful if they are followed. Yeah.
What about questions if they say that's an attempt to tutup my periuk nasi? How would you tackle that then?
Well, we can give the advice, and if it does happen that we have advised to not proceed, and you do proceed and you get into trouble,
It's on them.
Yeah, it's on them. Yeah. So we can only advise. Yeah. It's up to you to make the final decision. You want to go ahead, please go ahead, but at your own risk. So we can provide advice and assistance and legal counsel and all that. But end of the day, it's still their decision whether to proceed or not. And if they do proceed and it becomes what we've seen, then they have to be, ready to face the consequences.
Right. Now, before we end our show, I would just like to draw the attention to the latest controversial proposal from US President Donald Trump on his suggestion that the United States should take over the Gaza Strip. Now, Trump made the proposal when he hosted Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for crucial talks on truce with Hamas. Now, in a bold response, Palestinian ambassador to Malaysia, Walid Abu Ali, has strongly rejected the idea, saying that Israel's decades-long occupation of Palestinian land is for fitting. Now, he asserts that the Palestinian people will not be displaced and will continue their fight for freedom on their own soil. Earlier, we spoke to Dr. Azmi Hassan, geopolitical expert and Nusantara Academy for Strategic Research Senior Fellow, on the matter.
Well, one thing for sure, Trump's suggestion or plan in this particular case is a no-go because it goes against the international law. It is basically ethnic cleansing. What Trump is doing right now is similar to pouring oil into an existing fire. What I meant is that the existing ceasefire in Gaza is in a fragile mode. It's only halfway through. The first phase is only halfway through. And by pouring this particular suggestion, I think Trump is basically trying to undo that ceasefire. But asking whether it's viable or not, it is not viable. United States need to put their troops into Gaza, which is very, very unlikely because Hamas is still there. What I see Trump is that his suggestion is basically from his point of view without taking consideration what happened during the last 7 or 8 decades. A very simple solution from a very, I would say, simple mind, which is basically is a no-go, cannot be done, whether with the help of United States or Israel together in this particular suggestion.
Netanyahu himself has, at least he mentioned that Trump's proposal as history changing. Do you think this is just a show to basically push that America is there backing Israel in any means possible because of the rising influence, or at least the influence that we already know, but made visible when it comes to the lobbying groups in America itself?
No, I'm sure during the press conference, Netanyahu also, I think, caught by surprise in this particular announcement by Trump. Not only Netanyahu caught by surprise, the advisors around Trump also are currently trying to justify, trying to explain what is meant by Trump's suggestion. Marco Rubio, for example, trying to explain what's going to happen after this. And I think a lot of other advisors, because it seems that the suggestion by Trump during the press conference is off the cuff. Yes, it is out of the box thinking, is a game changer, is a history in making, but all as we see it is to provide advantage for Netanyahu. Is a green light for Netanyahu. And I think Trump announcement on Gaza, how crazy it is, and this I think this one of the Democrat in the United States said this is a crazy joke. It's not a crazy joke, but I think it's a red herring. A red herring because during the same press conference, question was asked about West Bank because a reporter asked, what is the Trump policy on West Bank currently being occupied by Israel? And Trump said, wait for another 2-3 weeks. And most probably, I'm sure Trump's policy on West Bank is that giving a green light to Netanyahu to annex West Bank. Not only West Bank, but also East Jerusalem. So I guess the announcement, the crazy announcement on Gaza is just a red herring, trying to camouflage thing. Because the real intention is Trump will give a green light for Netanyahu, not to do anything about Gaza, but to do something about West Bank, to annex West Bank, how Putin annexed Crimea in 2014. So that's I see Trump tactics. It looks very sombrono as we see it, off the cuff announcement, but I think that's the way how Trump works. Create a turmoil now so that in another 2-3 weeks, the West Bank annexation will become not so volatile among his allies. That's what I'm thinking.
Right. Right.
Yeah, in this particular case.
So at least on this particular announcement that was made by Trump, the Palestinian ambassador to Malaysia, Walid Abu Ali, actually said that, to be fair, there's no difference between the Israeli occupation versus the US occupation, because we all know that the Israeli occupation is backed by the US itself. But what's certain is that for the Palestinian push, the struggle and fight is stronger now.
Well, a few hours ago, Anthony Guterres, the Secretary General for the United Nations, put out a statement that suggestion by Trump will not help what's happening in Gaza right now. United States, as one of a big contributor to the Palestinian, in this case, is doing an in-service. And we have known that a few days ago, United States pulled out from United Nations Human Rights Council, and also pull out, put a stop on U.S. aids in this particular case that gave a lot of help to the Palestinian. So we know slowly, a little bit slowly, Trump is trying to unwrangle or trying to unsettle what's happening in Gaza. I think there's a problem. Why? I think there's the issue why Netanyahu suddenly agreed to the ceasefire, even though President Biden put the same proposal 6 months ago. I think he needs Trump's green light to annex West Bank. I think that's the bigger issue right now because Gaza is no go. It just cannot be done to fulfill Trump's suggestion. So I think the bigger problem is that of the West Bank. True enough that the opposition towards Trump's suggestion is very swift, especially from Saudi Arabia, putting out a statement at 4 a.m. in the morning. It shows the opposition. But again, this particular issue, Trump is trying to play around so that when the West Bank is being annexed, it's been camouflaged into the Gaza issue.
The Palestinian Authority here is the legitimate body representing Palestinians. What should they do? What should the president do?
Well, I don't give much hope to the PA and also to the Fatah. Even in the occupied West Bank, they just cannot do anything. being Palestinian being pushed out from, as you mentioned just now, from Jenin, and also few other places. I think to put our hope on PA itself, I think is a very high order, because at the current stage they just cannot do anything in this particular issue. We should go beyond PA in this case. Yes, they are the legitimate government of the West Bank, but I think we need to ensure that this particular issue, we need to rope in China, Beijing, and also Russia. These are the two biggest superpower that has been very sympathetic toward the struggle of the Gaza people. Yes, it is true that Beijing and Moscow, they have their own agenda in this particular case, but why not? We need another superpower so that to balance out the crazy idea of Trump, so that this particular issue can be some sort of balancing of power. So do not put our hope on the PA, on the Palestinian Authority. Do not put our hope on the maybe the Arab League, no, or the neighbors of the Palestine or neighbors of Gaza. I think that our hope is that to stop all this nonsense is using Moscow and also Beijing so that they can be involved together.
What about allies of Israel itself? Like, for instance, Japan. I understand that Malaysia is working closely with Japan in terms of developing in rebuilding Gaza, right? So the leverage to that is that, at least on the Palestinian front, also they want more buy-in, or at least they want their voices to be heard among the allies, because these are the ones that's supporting a regime that's like attacking them.
Yeah, I think the CPET you mentioned just now is a good medium to help rebuild Gaza. And I think Tokyo realized that they just cannot depend on the Western nation, even though, for example, G7, even though Japan is part of G7, I think Japan looks to Malaysia. Why invited Malaysia to be the co-chair on CPET is that Malaysia has a great influence, not only the Muslim countries, nation, but also among nations, what we call the global South. So I think Malaysia can pursue this particular issue, rebuilding Gaza, even though we are under the phase one of the ceasefire, but we can begin right now. I think Tokyo realized that, and I think that's the main reason why they invited Malaysia to be the co-chair. I think this is the best medium uh, to rebuild Gaza, even though we are in the early stages. Rebuild Gaza is on the third phase of the ceasefire. But I'm sure if we started right now, similar what G7 did to Ukraine to rebuild Ukraine, I think we can. I think we can do something good for the Gaza people.
And Doctor, one more thing. Can you talk about now with this sort of rhetoric that's been thrown around, especially when it comes to the relations between US and Israel? How does this impact further the strength and the movement of the resistance, especially within Gaza?
Let's look, put an analogy, what's happening in other states. Trump put out an executive order saying that any backlash toward Israel, any criticism toward Israel will be considered as anti-Semitic. And especially this affected international students in the United States that has been very vocal toward Israel, that gave a power to Trump to, I would say, consider them unwanted in United States. So that's what's happening in the United States. That can these international students can be expelled from another state. So what's been happening in Gaza? The opposition in Gaza, Hamas as the terrorist organization. This is something that something difficult to handle. But what's happening in the United States? I believe that opposition from within will be the more effective method. But with all this particular executive order, a criticism toward Israel will be considered as anti-Semitic, and anti-Semitic by people that are not citizens of the United States can be expelled. So in this particular case, it is going to be very, very difficult to put an opposition within the United States, what Trump is doing right now.
So that's all we have for the show. I mean, we talked about, amplified celebrity, I suppose, a status here, how they are able to influence a lot of people to do, or at least go into an area where they not necessarily know, debt, the underlying issues when it comes to the nation at large in that sense as well. But what's certain is that what we want to highlight across is that how can someone who is in the spotlight balance fame, integrity, as well as fortune? Well, My name is Amalina Kamal, and I'd like to thank again my guest that is here on
Thank
set.
you very much for inviting me here.
Thank you so
It's
much,
been a
Datuk
pleasure.
Freddie.
Yeah.
Thank you also, Hazwin.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And if you like this particular episode, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell if you haven't already. Don't forget to also follow us on Facebook, X, TikTok, as well as Instagram. This is all for NSE's Beyond the Headline. We'll see you next week.